Okay, cool. Hello everyone again. Sorry. So my name is Fab. I am part of a company called NeverLocal, and we do quantum stuff, quantum cryptography to be precise. With this talk, I wanted to give you an idea of where this thing can go, where we think it will go, and how the future may look like. So I'd like to begin with a small story, a short story. I don't think this works. Okay, a short story. So the year is 2025, so 1 year from now, basically. And as you probably know, everyone is kind of shitting their pants because quantum computers are becoming a thing. Bitcoin is quantum weak, Ethereum is quantum weak, what we will do, like my tokens, oh my God, whatever. And so this is pretty much the narrative I think a lot of people are seeing already right now. Luckily though, there are people that are already thinking about this. Some of these problems have already been solved. There are some things to do, notably BLS is still quantum weak and we don't have a good replacement for it. But there are things that we can do. So yeah, this is a problem. It is a big problem. More than big, it's an urgent problem. But there are already a lot of people at work on this. So this is something that will probably be fixed sooner than later. Now, in 2030, quantum computing will, keeps making progress, and we are finally getting there. We don't have anymore the problem of classical cryptography being weak, quantum weak. Post-quantum cryptography will be somewhere by then. And so people finally, now that they have a bit of peace of mind, they can say, okay, we successfully defended against quantum computing, but what quantum computers can do for us? That's the big question. And again, some people have been working on this. The study of non-locality, that is something Stefano will tell you about in detail later on, has progressed a lot in this decade, in the future. And things like quantum one-shot signatures or quantum money and other cryptographic protocols are basically now almost viable. So in 2035, hopefully, the quantum internet will be a thing. We will have enough infrastructure around to share quantum resources, to use quantum resources. And in the best of possible worlds, you will be able to buy a quantum ledger, which is like a USB stick, like a ledger you buy now. But the difference is that these things contain particles, entangled particles, that then you can use to perform quantum operations. This is one of the miracles of quantum computing. If you entangle particles and you find a way to keep them somewhere, then if you intervene on one, this automatically exerts some changes on the other, modulo a lot of details that I'm brushing under the rug. But the point is, you do not need necessarily to have a wire that goes from A to B to have a quantum channel between A and B. And this is a technology that we will hopefully leverage on in the future. And this will enable us to do quantum money, which is basically cash that can be remotely exchanged. And there is a very big difference between quantum money and money as we intended in blockchain. I will elaborate on it in a bit, but the point is you do not need a ledger to do quantum money. It's genuinely like cash. Like if I want to give money to him, I just have a peer-to-peer communication with him, and that's it. No validators, no miners, no nothing. All this infrastructure is useless in this vision. And so yeah, that's quantum money, and is entirely ledgerless, as I was saying. And finally, in 2040, everything is fully developed, hopefully. Quantum resources are now abundant, and finally, we also have device-independent cryptography, which is something we'll elaborate more in the next slides, but it's basically probably the hardest kind of cryptography you can have, the strongest form of cryptography you can have. And the idea is you can even assume that your own hardware is compromised, this thing stays secure, which is something basically mind-blowing. So what is quantum computing? Quantum computing is a different computational paradigm compared to classical computing. It's, as the name says, based on quantum mechanics. And quantum computers are different from classical computers. One big difference is that quantum computation usually gives you probabilistic results. It doesn't give you necessarily deterministic results. It gives you a result with a reasonable probability of being right. This seems like a bummer, but is instead a very powerful idea. And they use things like entanglement or correlations between quantum resources that basically allow you to leverage on these things, to leverage on extra properties that quantumness has to basically be better at doing computation. Now, quantum computers are mainly interesting because they allow you to do things that are classically impossible. One of these things is quantum key distribution, for instance. Stefano will tell you more about it. There is also all the stuff about quantum speed-ups, etc., which I do not personally find incredibly interesting. But yeah, the point is that you can do things faster than on a classical computer, but most importantly, you can do things that are impossible on a classical computer. Now, the question, the elephant in the room is like, do quantum computers exist? And the answer is yes, they do. They are not viable to do heavy calculations at the moment, which is why they always seem a thing of the future. But the quantum computing research is doing like amazing progress. So these things are becoming more and more viable. Indeed, the progress on quantum computing hardware has been exponential so far, and shows no sign of slowing down, which is good. But as I was saying, there are a lot of low-hanging fruits in quantum that do not require a ton of quantum resources to be reaped. So that is the important thing that we want to cover now. And the lowest hanging fruit of them all is probably quantum cryptography. Like, the point is that to do cryptography, you do not need to do an insane amount of quantum computation. You need to probably share a quantum channel with someone, which is something that we can already do today. And that's great. That's really great, because it means that we don't have to wait like decades or years or whatever to have powerful quantum computers. So let me give you an example of that. Like, when I talk about quantum cryptography, the thing that people think about usually Shaw's algorithm. That is basically the thing that allows you to break Bitcoin. That thing needs a very big quantum computer to be done usefully, and most importantly, is not really quantum cryptography. That is a quantum algorithm that breaks a classical cryptographic algorithm. What we are talking about here is some cryptographic protocol that leverages generally quantum resources to do something that is not possible classically. So, examples. Quantum one-shot signatures, you probably heard about them. Basically, they are a cryptographic primitive that allows a party A to delegate a party B to sign a message, any message on their behalf, but just once. This is basically impossible classically unless you have like a trusted setup of some sort, like a TE. And the reason is, if I give you my private key, you can use it as many times as you want. But if I give you my private key enclosed in a quantum state, then basically I can leverage on something called no cloning that says you cannot copy that quantum state, and I can do things in a way so that if you want to use the key, you have to destroy the quantum state I gave you. So there is no way to use that key twice. Similarly, you can do quantum one-time programs. There is our very own Lev here. You can ask a lot of questions to him about this. But in a way, what you do here is you use, again, quantum resources to come up with a program that can be executed only once. This is super exciting because a program that can be executed only once means that you can encode a financial instrument, like a debt, in a program. And then you can give this program to people, and when you execute the program, you exercise the debt, and then the program disappears, basically. So in that sense, it's a very powerful primitive that we can do with quantum resources. QKD, many people know about it. Basically, if you share a quantum channel with someone, you can use it to do key distribution in a provably secure way. What that means is that party A and party B, Alice and Bob, they can come up with a shared key, but most importantly, they have a very effective way to be aware if there is an eavesdropper on the channel or not. So if someone is spying them, they will actively detect it. Stefano will tell you much more about this in his own talk. But yeah, again, this leverages no cloning, basically. And you can use this to then create a perfect one-time program, which is probably the only cryptographic primitive, or one of the very few cryptographic primitives that we know perfect, like, you know, is provably perfect. Then there is quantum money, the thing that everyone is excited about. The idea is actually intuitively very simple. The core of quantum resources is that they cannot be copied. Like they really behave like a resource. Like the main difference between data and resources is that if I tell you something, you can copy that information, you can distribute it as you want. But if I give you this mug, you cannot copy it. It's a physical thing. You can create another one, but you cannot duplicate this thing. And quantum resources, they behave like data in the sense that you can transfer them over long distances and stuff like that, but you cannot copy them exactly as the mug. And now, very intuitively, if you find a way to wrap monetary value inside of a quantum state, then that quantum state is a banknote. And if you can do it in a way so that people can verify that the banknote is genuine in a way that doesn't destroy the banknote in the process, then you have quantum money. There are a lot of details that make this not super easy to do, but this is really like the core idea. And finally, we have device-independent cryptography. As I was saying, this is a cryptographic a way of doing cryptography where, again, we leverage on no cloning and the fact that you cannot clone quantum states to basically create quantum protocols where you, the user, will be aware if someone is trying to hijack the protocol, eavesdrop on the data and stuff like that, even if your own hardware is compromised. This is the most important part. Like, the quantum hardware can itself be compromised and you can still prove security. You can still prove that with compromised hardware, the attacker is not able to gain any information. Or at least you can see that someone is trying to gain information and stop doing what you're doing. This seems like sci-fi, I know, but is possible. The interesting thing about this is that, especially today, we know that NSA hijacks microchips and stuff like that. You can't even be sure that what you just bought isn't compromised straight out of the fab. This is a very nice cryptographic primitive to have. So, conclusion, people see quantum computing as a threat at the moment. We have to defend against quantum computing, we have to fix our cryptography, but I think this is a wrong posture. The point is that quantum computing will become practical soon, and it will make many things obsolete, but it will also give us a lot of new stuff that we weren't able to do before. So instead of adopting a defensive posture, we should adopt a more aggressive attack posture where we say, okay, let's really use this thing. Let's not just defend against this thing. Let's see what this thing can do for us. So if there is one take-home message that I want to give you from this talk, is this: like, reject quantum doomerism and embrace quantum hopefulness. Quantum can be really good for us all. That's it. Thank you. Yeah. Can I take questions? I don't know how we... Yes. Okay, cool.
Thanks for that talk. One question for you. So, I'm not a quantum researcher, okay, but I recently saw an interview by this professor at MIT who's a pioneer of quantum computing, and someone asked him, when will we have quantum computing? And he said 5 to 10 years plus minus never. So assume we live in a world where quantum computing doesn't happen, or at least not in our lifetimes. How much of quantum computing is needed for quantum cryptography? Is there a path to quantum?
No, that's exactly not much. Like, you can already do quantum QKD right now. This is being done between banks. Like, the point is, even if you just assume to have a quantum channel, so basically a fiber optic where you can send quantum states, and if you assume that you can do quantum measurements, and you can do this, there's already stuff that you can do. And exactly, the focus on quantum cryptography is exactly this. If you say, I want an exponential speed up on this algorithm, then you need a lot of quantum computation. For quantum cryptography, for these like non-locality, contextuality arguments, you need very little quantum computation. So it's a very low-hanging fruit that hasn't really been looked at since now. And it's very, very powerful.
Okay, sorry. So just to wrap up my question, if what you're saying is true, why, like, what are the barriers between today and all this happening? Are we waiting for breakthroughs in physics? Are we waiting for good engineering? Are we waiting for funding? Like,
culture. Up to now, everyone was doing an arm race towards like building a universal quantum computer, which is a very noble task, but it's also very hard, and it will give you rewards very long in the future. And basically, a lot of VC money is there, and people are looking there. But the reason why I think quantumpunks is a nice thing is because people in crypto have the right mindset to say, hey, wait a second. Maybe there is something that we can look at right now that works. And that's exactly the point. So yeah, we really hope to get people's interest into these low-hanging fruits, because there is a lot that we can do right now. Yes, yes.
Hi. So I heard of the word quantum money for a while, but I never really think of it deeply. My question is, when I think of money, I usually think of something that holds values, right? But
Yes.
Quantum state is something kind of to be collapsed. So in that sense, what is it useful, this quantum money, in that sense?
Well, yes, like you can imagine, for instance, why a banknote is useful, right? It's a piece of paper, but it's produced by some party that is entitled to produce value, like a bank, and that's why you kind of trust it.
But the note is kind of there, right? When you observe it, you don't collapse it.
But but the point is that this thing basically is not easily counterfeitable, so you cannot copy it easily. And by the way, also like banknotes incur decoherence. Like, what I mean is that periodically the bank will have to like grab old banknotes, take them out of circulation, and then push new banknotes in the system because they degrade after they're used. It is true that now quantum states degrade much faster than paper, for sure. But if you imagine that I can wrap the bank signature in a quantum state, and I am able to store that quantum state long enough, then it works exactly like a banknote. And yeah, at some point maybe it will degrade, but you can estimate that, and you can transfer it to the bank and get a new one in the process. So there are many more questions. I don't know how much time. Oh, okay.
Maybe one or two.
Thanks for the talk. My question is, how do you quantum if we were setting up a practical protocol where we have this like sort of I transfer a coin to you, how would we be?
How would we be able to compute what?
So for really practically, like I'm building a wallet, right? And I want to show the user's balance. how do I know how many quantum coins I have in this sort of like in the actual physical quantum, you know, you've transferred coins to me or I've transferred coins to you. How am I able to actually ascertain that? What sort of devices are involved?
So the obvious answer at the moment is I have no clue. But the way the thing is that the idea of a quantum banknote is that it's something that you cannot, is a quantum state that you cannot copy easily. You cannot copy it at all without destroying it. But you can perform some minimal amount of operation on it to verify that it's genuine. And when you do it, you degrade it a bit. It's like, you know, people trying to scratch a banknote a bit to see if it's true. But you do not degrade it enough to make it unusable. And then the point is you want to check your balance. Maybe you have a stupid algorithm that just check if the states are all genuine and makes the sum. You know. It's like a nullifier. Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, I don't know, to be honest. But that again, that's just an idea. Quantum money is not something that we will have tomorrow. It's still far in the future. But I think that the intuitive idea is pretty compelling. It's something that, you know, can be easily built.
With time for one last question.
Okay.
Yeah, so assuming you have a room full of makers and engineers
Yeah.
and people who are ready to hit the ground running,
Yeah.
What is the kind of equipment or the kind of investment that one would need to make to start dabbling with this stuff in their own homes?
So you can simulate quantum computing devices up to some extent. So you can already start playing with these things in a way. You can run quantum code in the cloud with some quantum computing providers if you want to. Then there is all the part about quantum hardware and what's needed to be done there. We'll have a talk about that later on. So there are a lot of things that can be done. But the point is that designing a protocol, it's something that you can already do today. Like the talk Stefano will give you, for instance, after mine, we've developed a stack to do exactly that, to basically extend, you know, reasoning in Bell-like scenarios and with contextual arguments. And the idea is exactly this. Like, you can use these things to get out the right statistical tool to crank out quantum protocols that basically only need measurements and some postulates like, you know, nothing is faster than light. And that's basically what you need, and you can come up with, like QKD is the simplest protocol of this sort, but you can discover much more, hopefully. So that's exactly the point. We want to build a theoretical stack that allows people to experiment without, you know, having to pursue a PhD in quantum computing and caring about securing quantum hardware at their home. All this stuff will be important at some point, but we are really trying to get the entry bar as lower as possible so that people can start working on this immediately. Okay, thank you very much.